slavery. It was the taking away of your freedom. And how was that done? By the systematic use of a process of violence. A systematic use of a process of violence to keep you subdued in chains and to extract your labor without pay.
True.
It was used on us, your family members, because you could trace right back to the plantations. And on Emancipation Day, we are gathered here where we should be celebrating our freedom.
True.
To put to rest 5 innocent Jamaicans
True, sir.
who was killed viciously, yes, viciously. But they were killed out of an inability of the killer to resolve conflict peacefully. I want you to follow what I'm saying. Violence was used on us in slavery. It infected us to the point where after slavery, we did not engage in any process of coming to grips with this violence. And so it passed on from generations to generations to generations. Until now, it is so ingrained in how we think that if a man steps on the toe, your first reaction is going to be violence. We use violence in how we bring up our children. I listen to Dr. Brennan very carefully. And I'm in, not necessarily a chapel in a hall, but for the purposes, it is a chapel now. And his admonition is the biblical admonition. We must spare the rod or else we will spoil the child. And I know a lot of you are going to say that's right. But I stand here and tell you that's wrong. Remember what I said earlier? The first step in coming to grips with this thing is to acknowledge that we have a problem. It is a cultural problem. We respond with violence without thinking. Kenya, an African country like us, many shared beliefs, recently took a very enlightened and positive step. You know what they did? They banned corporal punishment. Yes. They banned it. Why? Why? Because they recognize that when we use violence to bring up our children, to discipline our children, what we are doing is saying to our children that if you do something wrong, the only way to correct it is through violence. If we're going to change, then these are some of the things about our society, the uncomfortable truths that I, as your leader, have to say to you. Talk to you like family and tell you. As difficult as it may sound, I will never bring up this boy without truthfully for him. But there are other means and other methods which other societies have been using for decades and centuries, and they don't have the level of violence that we have. We use violence in our intimate relations. I I know a lot of women suffer under this foolish notion that it beat you because it don't. Alive, sir?
Alive.
We have to change that mentality and that culture.
Yeah.
No man was supposed to put him hand on you with no reason at all.
Talk to them.
You don't own your body.
No.
I have to just start the things, you know. Whether or not they like it, yes or no, I have to tell you the truth. And then, in our domestic affairs now, we use violence.
Yeah. Talk to them.
No. You have a little family dispute. And the first thing you draw up is your last.
That's not necessary.
And before you know it, you throw out their sword fight. One man kill another one.
Yeah.
We have seen many instances, of family members, even neighbors, arguing over things that if they were able to step back from the moment, they would say, "What that stupidness."
Exactly.
We have seen cases where neighbor put out the garbage, some dog went and pulled the garbage over to the neighbor, the other neighbor yard, two of them argue, knife draw, one dead. I don't know, Gwendolyn, I don't know what would have possessed that young man that day. I don't know.
John, no.
But what I do know is that the society in which we live in needs serious attention to this issue of the use of violence to resolve conflict. Now, when I come to speak to you, I don't come to speak to you as a preacher. And we could go through all the reasons. I don't come to speak to you as a professor, meaning to give you all the academic explanations. I come to you as your policymaker. You elect me to address these issues, even the issues that you don't agree with or what you don't understand sometimes. You put trust and confidence in your elected leaders to address the issue. 3 years ago, we started to look at the issue of violence in a serious way. We have established an anti-violence commission, which is being led by one of Jamaica's foremost academics on children development, Professor Samson. They will be giving me an interim report very soon as to some measures that the government will have to take to address this epidemic, this disease of violence in the society. Nevertheless, there are some actions which we have already started to take to treat with violence. Number one, we have laid in Parliament a new firearms bill, which has increased the penalty for the use, trading, and distribution and possession of firearms. Most of the murders in Jamaica take place with the use of firearms, with a gun. So to treat with that tool of violence, the gun. We are coming with a new bail act. Many of the perpetrators of violence come back and are able, while they are being processed for a charge. They come back out and they commit crimes. And many of them end up murdering again. We have to treat with that. We are reviewing the Zones of Special Operations Act to improve it. It is working very well. It is bringing peace to many communities that were formerly conflict-torn. We are revising the Offences Against the Persons Act. Now that is the bill, the act that will deal with when you get into fight with somebody and you get beat up or you get abused. Those penalties and some new offences will have to be created. We are revising the Sexual Offences Bill, Act rather, because we are seeing emerging new trends in sexual abuse, sexually motivated violence, including cyber issues that we have to treat. And we are in the process of, in fact, very advanced in reviewing the Domestic Violence Act, which will give greater protection to vulnerable people in our society. We are also reviewing the Child Care and Protection Act, and in that act we will make an amendment to ban corporal punishment in Jamaica. When you put all of those together, what you will have is a strong, more robust system of treating with violence in Jamaica. That is from the legislative part of things, that's from the law part of things. But we need to have now, in Jamaica, a process for us to come to grips with violence. When I say come to grips, here's what I'm talking about. Number one, when a violent act occurs, we can't just leave it up to the victim and the perpetrator to resolve the matter. Oftentimes, the violent acts will go to court. There may be some kind of mediation, but the victims are still hurting. And that hurt sometimes gets transformed into revenge. So the state has to be far more active than it is now in ensuring that we give support to the victims of murder, the victims of crime, the victims of abuse. The second thing that we have to do is to have a system of early detection, early intervention, and early warning. What do I mean by that? In this instant case, the perpetrator came to the attention of law enforcement before this. There was no follow-up intervention to determine whether or not this person would commit an act in the future. But that is just how our system is. But we have to change it. So right now, we will have to develop a new way of identifying violent perpetrators in our society and getting them into programs much earlier. Because the truth is, if when this young man who is accused of this act came to the attention of law enforcement before, even if a case was not brought before the court, that young man should have been given serious intervention, serious counseling, and follow up to ensure he's not harboring evil intent throughout his life.
What is this?
And there are many young people in Jamaica like that, who have experienced violence, who have used violence themselves, or they have been the victims directly of violence, and they don't know how to treat with it, other than to hold it in themselves, hold it in their hearts, until an event occurs or an opportunity presents themselves again, and then they end up becoming the perpetrators of violence on someone else. So aside from the legislation which we are doing, we are devising a new program and system of intervention to ensure that especially our young people are not watching off the violence, waiting for it to explode sometime down the road to create this cycle of violence. So, friends, family, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to offer my condolences to the family. I went and I paid my condolences personally. I decided to sit through the entire proceeding, to listen to what all the speakers have said, to look at your faces and observe and hear your comments, get a sense as to how the community is coming to grips. I think the funeral is important in putting closure to the issue, but I am not quite convinced that we have learned the lessons that we need to learn about violence. I'm not convinced. And I'm saying it here for all of you who are listening, that the government will act in a decisive way to change the structure of our legal system and to give greater attention. But ultimately, it comes down to our heart. What do we believe in our heart? Are we willing to forgive? Are we willing not to use violence? Are we willing to seek peace and not escalate simple situations into conflict? It depends on what we do. So as we celebrate our freedom, 130 years ago, what are we going to do with it? Are we going to use our freedom to do anything we choose? To kill our loved ones? To be violent in how we react and interact with each other? Or are we going to use our freedom to create a peaceful, loving, gentle, caring society that we all wish for Jamaica? Ladies and gentlemen, I love you. I care about you. I want to see the best for you. We lay these 5 souls to rest. Let us all commit to doing what we can to end violence in our home and in our community and in our house. God bless you, Lord.
He's saying that basically, getting the man killed or listening to prison go to him full time. Now go be a part because you can't pay the rather the child. So because your child rude, you're not supposed to beat him. What are you going to do with it?
So, family members, you have a lot of hand.
Basically, because if I say you can't spare the rather for the child, it's not. And what is it?
And you're going to be coming now.
What is it? And the only way you can see, you can punish me now. I did kill him, I did
Family members, can you stand with me? If you're the kind who eulogy is coming also from
Seven-time champion.
Abiana Gale.
Seven.
Shamisha Gale. Please wait for the eulogy.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Abiana Gale.
My friend on the shop.
Abiana Gale and Sharisha Gale. Would you come at this moment, please? Come and read the eulogy. Thank you, Mr. Music. Thank you. Distinction College will make a tribute now to Sister Gale.
Good afternoon, everyone. All protocols observed, and at this time we have no time, and therefore we want to make this tribute. This plaque we are presenting to Mrs. Gwendolyn McKnight on behalf of Distinction College. Miss Gwen, this picture plaque shows you your daughter in various stages. There's also a small plaque for Sean Henry, the father of the baby. I don't see him now. We also want to present our Distinction College certificate along with our City and Guilds certification. We had to use, because she should have taken her exam on the Friday, she died the Tuesday, she should have taken the final exam, City and Guilds exam on the Friday. What we have done, we have used, in collaboration with City and Guilds, overseas and at the office, we have used her portfolio, which is a lot of hard work. Her portfolio is very large, it's very big, and she did exceptionally well in it. So we have used it to award her our certification for this. We also want to present these cards from Distinction College and from City and Guilds. I don't know where the other persons are with the certifications. Maybe they got disheartened, I don't know. But as far as we had right now, we want to present these to you, and we pray that God peace will rest with you.
On June 21st, Kamisha would have taken her graduation pictures. She would have been a part of the graduation ceremony that we had last week, but her life was taken so tragically, and that was why we decided to do this. So to let the family know, to let Miss Gwen know that in spite of everything, we still have Kamisha in our thoughts. Her City and Guild certificate would have enabled her to go on that forward program that she so badly desired.
If you give a little more than you take, and if you try to fix more than you break,
Abiana Gale and Sharisha Gale.
the kind who takes the time to help a stranger in the rain is the place
Thank you, Major.
for people like you.
Abiana Gale and Sharisha
If you
Gale.
stand
Charlie Phillips, Kimanda Phillips. Life is a journey that is built of experience and expected events, ups and bruises. Some like the one of the feel heartbroken because of others, and it surely left us wondering why. Sometimes the question is asked, and other times we are left without a
Friend of Elio.
as to why that
Get it quick?
Kada po na
to be in that way. Nevertheless, we are only one thing concerning. We all have the same thing for others to live, and it doesn't no matter who we are.
Friend of Elio.
As we enter this world,
You see the emperor? He got bad. People them love him.
Love them. Love her too. Love you.
Yeah, that's what we do. I have video.
Give me a video. What me just picture just like I watch your life. I just got me to watch your life. Big up your friend. Big up your friend. Big up your friend.
Big up any friend.
Okay, they're watching it.
Oh. Big up to all who's watching. This is a very sad moment, but we are here giving God thanks.
Yeah.
Why finish?
No, that's my friend. Oh, yeah. Hey, what one?
They needed a compliment of